the living shit out of the Indiana Fever. So Indiana Fever, and it's been my belief that they will freaking fire everyone. And I do believe this. So if you're a Fever fan and you're hoping they'll keep Caitlin Clark, it's my belief that when push comes to shove, there's no way they can let her get away. They will fire everybody and start over. That's my belief. I cannot imagine the level of fumbling the bag that would have to be done.
When Gatorade attempts to surf the Caitlin Clark wave but fails to remember who is actually paddling, what do you get? A fiery PR catastrophe involving excessive electrolytes. They had a slam dunk, according to the WNBA. It turned out to be more of a skip fire than an air wall. And wait to hear the true opinions of supporters. This poll may be of interest to Fever management. In addition, Caitlin recently amassed $660,000 like it was cash. Get some popcorn. It's juicy.
Caitlin Clark meant to the WNBA?
Everything. She's changed the dynamic and history forever for women.
I see a lot of young girls here today, and I see how inspired they are, and she's even gotten me back into basketball.
I think she has brought attention. She did it for us. We had never watched, and we have become big fans.
I don't think her contributions have been extreme as what people think they are. I think the league in itself has been getting better, and that's really what we should be focusing on.
I think she's brought a lot of attention to the WNBA, and it's needed.
I think it's great. I actually grew up watching the WNBA, so it's really exciting to see a resurgence.
She meant everything. I never watched it before.
I'll be gone too if she quits the Fever. It's no longer a whisper. It is a full-fledged call to action. Caitlin Clark is not limited to her WNBA career. For a whole new generation of fans who didn't even know what a Fever was 6 months ago, she is the WNBA. It appears that Caitlin is going to grab half of the fan base in the divorce, so Indiana had better start preparing a custody attorney.
Example, and there's enough votes here. This is a good test to see how bad this would be. Swag put this out, and it's starting to make the rounds. I voted. Okay, Fever fans, answer this. If Caitlin leaves Fever, would you still support the Fever? We got 1,145 votes here. Nope, my bags are packed is far and away leading.
Nor are they casual admirers. These are diehards who have been baptized, converted, and completely assimilated into the Caitlin Church. Zip codes and team colors are irrelevant to them. The logo is Caitlin's. Her uniform isn't her jersey. It's a GPS. They follow her wherever she goes. She is the object of loyalty, not Indiana. Love and appreciate the rest of the roster.
All for letting her cook. Me dinner.
I'm buying Powerade stock.
Is it a play on, like, women shouldn't? No, they didn't do it on purpose. There's no way. How you came up with this and not in the back of your minds, like, oh, they're just gonna be like, oh, it's women. She just needs to cook. Didn't think about that in the PR room. I'm a big advocate of
But there's no question when the lights go out and you have to decide between a brand and the phenomenon that initially captivated you. Double C or bust is the rule. And rather than Caitlin's poor performance, Fever supporters are sweating because it's beginning to resemble bust. Oh no, she's carrying out her draft duties exactly. Help transform this poor franchise into something that resembles professional basketball by bringing in crowds, attention, and ratings. The issue is that her coach may be the only person who hasn't noticed. But there's no question when the lights go out and you have to decide between a brand and the phenomenon that initially captivated you. Double C or bust is the rule. And rather than Caitlin's poor performance, Fever supporters are sweating because it's beginning to resemble bust. Oh no, she's carrying out her draft duties exactly. Help transform this poor franchise into something that resembles professional basketball by bringing in crowds, attention, and ratings. The issue is that her coach may be the only person who hasn't noticed.
Oh boy. Listen, NBA players make 50% of revenues. WNBA players make 9%. And now the merch sales are up 500% and attendance is up, 40%. So they're going to get a raise. There's no question. And I don't really care that the previous 25 years they didn't make a lot of money or lost money. I don't care. They're in the middle of a negotiation and they're on a heater. So it doesn't really matter. I've said this before. I made an investment for 5 years and it lost money. and I got about 6 months left in the investment, and in the last 6 months they started making cash, I'm not bailing on the investment. I want to finally get my money back. So they're going to get a raise. They're finally turning a corner. But and negotiating in any business is all about current momentum. It's not about 12 years ago. It's about current momentum.
Because the strategy seems more like maybe next quarter than empower your superstar. Which, spoiler alert, is hilarious because they are losing and losing ugly, not winning. However, the same pattern appears when the post-game talk period comes. If a player falls from a boat, she won't be able to hit the water. It's 2 for 14. Keep shooting, honey, was the coach's reply. Eventually, they will collapse. When it comes down to it, Caitlyn makes one contested three. Lecture in a flash. It's more than just unclear. It's performance art on the edge. Supporters are not blind. They observe what is taking place, and they are not staying to witness a slow-motion sabotage of the primary reason they purchased tickets. More frequently than a WNBA highlight on ESPN3, the message is clear and loud. We'll leave if Caitlyn does.
Caitlin Clark is a media driver. She is a ratings driver. Think about the NBA post Magic and Larry, the NBA post Michael Jordan, tennis post Serena Williams, golf post Tiger Woods, right? There are certain athletes that drive the sport more than others. And that's not to take away from anyone else drafted tonight. That's not to take away from the other incredible superstars in the WNBA right now.
Because this is migration, not simply fandom. And the monarch butterfly is Caitlin Clark. Fever merchandise is not being carried by these folks. They have portable loyalty with them. They also don't give a damn if she winds up in the Bermuda Triangle, Las Vegas, or New York. They're pursuing. It makes no difference if the team abruptly rebrands as the Toilet Paper Tornadoes or changes names or cities. They are all in if CC is listed on the roster. It's more than simply a fad. The management of Fever should be frightened because it's a widespread problem. These supporters aren't attempting to be dramatic, you see. They are merely presenting the facts. They even considered the WNBA because of Caitlyn. The league's marketing wasn't the cause. It wasn't the Instagram loops or the gaudy advertisements. It was a kid from Iowa who had the personality of a late-night talk show host, Steph Curry's range, and crazy court vision. She made watching women's basketball on TV a mandatory. Imagine now willingly ignoring that. It's similar to opting to pave over a gold mine in order to construct a strip mall. The investors are incensed because it makes no sense. Indeed, supporters adore the rest of the team. No one is attempting to remove the remaining names from the list.
So the t-shirts don't bother me. But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself.
The worst aspect is that it's beginning to appear deliberate, as if some perverse reasoning is being used in the background. Keep the novice modest. Keep her from growing too big. Even if the veteran shooting percentage is more akin to a Powerball prize than the league average, make sure they still get their shots. The fans, meantime, are yelling, "Just let her cook." Unfortunately, someone always pulls the pan off the hob as she heats up. The Caitlin Clark fan following isn't just devoted. They're furious when you add bad body language, stressful press conferences, and dubious late-game choices. They feel as though they have been duped. During the game, you cannot treat your new star like a glorified decoy after promoting her and selling her as the face of every company from Gatorade to garden hoses. It's not a strategy. That is slow-motion sabotage. What would happen if she left? Easy. Since streaming services were created, the WNBA has seen the biggest fan exodus. One day, you'll be performing in front of record-breaking crowds and packed houses. Next up are crickets, and Ninja Warrior reruns are generating more viewers.
Age 23. I'm going to pass on that question, actually. WNBA star Caitlin Clark is transforming women's sports. She fills arenas night after night, and her games have smashed TV viewership records. And if you watch Clark play, well, it's not hard to figure out why. She makes deep three-pointers look easy. And like all stars, wants the ball when the game is on the line.
And don't assume that this is just rhetoric. There's no bluffing from these supporters. They have already begun to investigate other cities. They have group chats, spreadsheets, and maps. In Phoenix, several people have rental apps open. The zip code system in Las Vegas is being learned by others. Since they aren't associated with a logo, Caitlin Clark watch parties are being organized in places where she doesn't even now play in case she is traded. They have a legacy attached to them. Indiana basketball didn't win them over. 6 months ago, they had no idea what a fever was. It goes beyond fandom. There are hostages involved. The management of Fevers had only one job. Don't make a mistake. And yet, we see them ostensibly attempting to destroy the one thing that is functioning. Fans of Caitlin Clark are not going to silently applaud her as she is treated like a glorified ball shuttler. They have gone this far to be heard. Therefore, trust those who say they will leave if she does. For them, Caitlin Clark is the product rather than a player. She is the center of the ecosystem. If she leaves Indiana, that squad will once again be simply another name on a box score. If she were to move, that city would immediately become the center of WNBA adoration.
And I think it's like something where if you are a star in the WNBA, like Caitlin Clark, she's probably one of the few people that anybody you can mention to somebody that knows sports will know Caitlin Clark. Yeah. She's getting a ton of deals. Coke, Gatorade, you name Nike deals. Now, I know a lot of the other players, like if you're the 12th person on the team, you're probably not making that much money, but I just feel like coming out like this, what are they going to bargain with? What is their like thing they're coming with that's going to change their salary? And that's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't understand because they're already rev sharing. The NBA already gives them money, compensates for the loss they make every year because they lose 50.
The fans aren't showing any emotion. They're being practical. They owe nothing to the fever. Thanks to Caitlin, they gave the team a chance. Caitlin was the reason they stayed. They'll go because, well, if the current nonsense continues, Caitlin might not stay. Perhaps she should no longer be viewed as a supporting role in someone else's story. Because it's more than simply a trade if she walks. The event is at the extinction level. And it won't be a fever dream this time. It will be a complete nightmare. Stephanie White's coaching style seems to be more about micromanaging your superstar into oblivion than it is about developing your superstar. It's no longer even subtext at this point. Every press conference has flickering, barely coded Morse code. I never chose Caitlin Clark. It seems like she's attempting to make Caitlin into the exact type of quiet, modest, don't upset the boat player that the old guard can put up with now that the season is underway, even though she did grin for the cameras and discuss modifying systems.
Female bird. She had Van Slugenhagen on her. She was like, I'm offended that y'all have white defensive players guarding me, and she put her in the torture chamber. You should have known from her little face that she didn't want this matchup from the beginning. Caitlin reminds me of what Dame does. If anybody ever noticed, her first shot, always a three. First quarter, second quarter, third. She sets the distance on her first shot, so you have to guard her there. Now she can do whatever she wants to do. She's playing a chess game. That's what Dame does. He starts his game off. He's gonna shoot a deep-ass three to force.
Here's the worst part, though. Caitlin Clark is not suited for a supporting role. She is not an add-on to some antiquated strategy that is kept afloat by gum and vibrations. She is the reason the automobile began in the first place, the GPS, the Spotify playlist, and the engine. Nevertheless, you can almost see Stephanie White making calculated U-turns and emotional speed bumps in each game, as if she were directing traffic rather than executing an offensive. The fact that this isn't even about minor differences in play style anymore makes it crazy. This has a personal feel to it, similar to the vibe you give someone who was dropped off at your house by corporate and then had to grin while hosting the dinner party. However, in this instance, the dinner guest is still urged to just relax and pass the salt despite cooking 5-star meals and paying the rent. We should refer to it as resistance. The Caitlin Clark era, with all the lofty rhetoric about loving her game, vapor, made Stephanie White seem like she was gritting her teeth from the very beginning. Rather, we have game plans that show Clark parked in a corner while teammates with the green light hurl bricks, as if they were constructing an Olive Garden with a WNBA motif. No buckets, just endless breadsticks. Nevertheless, there is stillness during referee commotion, Clark's 15 assists, 23 points, and some viral highlights while dodging elbows. No acknowledgement, no festivity. Just another tense post-match lecture about letting the game unfold or spacing.
WNBA before Caitlin Clark and the WNBA after Caitlin Clark. Describe these two worlds.
Oh, entirely different. 180, you know. The WNBA before started in 1997, the year after the Atlanta Olympics, and was launched into a time when women's sports was still not taken seriously by a lot of, people. And some of those same guys now, if we want to talk about before and after, some of those same guys, or guys like them, are the ones buying the 22 jerseys, wearing them to games, Major, but also to the grocery store and to the gas station. It is now cool to be a WNBA fan, and it is cool to love Caitlin Clark and the spotlight that is finally shining on these players.
It's always shouting, recalculate, give her time to cook, go around. Every state, time zone, and income group has a fan of Caitlin. Middle schools, basketball enthusiasts who are 80 years old, casual fans, diehards, and even some who still believe that the WNBA is played on a 9 FFT rim. She is more than a mere athlete. She is a revolution and a brand. With media engagement eggs laid more quickly than the league can cash them in, the WNBA is its golden goose. She would be live streaming her morning stretches while sporting a camera on her head if the marketing team had their way. However, given her occasional usage on the court, you would guess she was a second-round bench warmer. And we're all expected to act as though that's the norm. Would you please?
Talk about the Olympic stuff.
On the night that I broke the news, someone read me the list that Caitlin Clark was not on the Olympic team, which was June 7th. She had just had 30 points and 7 threes against Washington in an amazing game. And bottom line on this is they did not want her on the team. There was either a sense that she needs to wait her turn. They wanted to give Diana Taurasi the going away present. Name another time when you would ever give an athlete the going away present with an Olympic berth. Outrageous. So Caitlin said, hey, it's okay. And in interviews, she said, it's all right, I'll make it the next time. Well, in the book, I have a wonderful anecdote from then.
Stephanie White is free to use as many coaching cliches as she likes. Follow the plan. Everybody plays a part. We must not omit any steps. Everything is fine until you realize that the only thing being omitted is allowing Caitlin Clark to be herself. It's not working, which is the funniest part. The endeavor to keep Caitlin in check isn't working. It's causing uncertainty, disruption, and misunderstandings that appear to have been planned by CIR Dussel. Because they can see exactly what's occurring, fans are losing it in the meanwhile. It is a combination of basketball 101 and common sense. If we do things my way, Stephanie White appears intent on making the Caitlin Clark experience a meat grinder.
I was mesmerized by her. And I will tell you this. This was the greatest performance I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament, girl or boy. Greatest performance.
On this biggest stage.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because rarely does a game like this live up to its hype.
Yeah.
Rarely do you have the two superstars play like superstars, because you got to understand the scout report is geared to stop you. All the hype coming into this is going to be people who've never watched a girls' basketball game watched. A lot of people watched for the first.
If her method resulted in championships, that would be okay. Rather, it's causing fan-base meltdowns and late-game meltdowns frequently at the same time. Now that the season is halfway through, the story is obvious. Clark didn't enter a team with the intention of elevating her. Fortunately, Caitlin Clark is more than just a player, so she's not alone. She is a force. Additionally, motions are not silent. They do not respectfully wait for an opportunity to shine. They assume control. Like a slow-motion highlight reel slam, they burst through resistance. Furthermore, They will be the response to a trivia question rather than a dynasty if the fever doesn't break quickly. Thus, it's possible that Stephanie White never desired Caitlin Clark. Perhaps she wanted someone who was simpler to coach, mold, and ignore. Unfortunately, she received a lightning bolt in high peaks, a phenom. Furthermore, no number of obstinate game plans will be able to avert the inevitable. Caitlin Clark has given up waiting for approval. The light is her. Will the fever eventually allow it to shine, or will it continue to dull it?